undertaken by the City of New Haven and the police department. As with every incident, with every investigation that we have had since I've been mayor, we proactively share as much information as we can as it becomes available to us. And I think that we have a relationship with a lot of press here. I think that we have shown that over and over and over again. And you have a lot of experience with working with us on that. On Monday, we held an initial press conference with Chief Jacobson, when Chief Jacobson admitted to this theft, and today we want to share additional information that we have learned. First, I want to just go over some of the situation with the investigation. First, we appreciate the Chief State's Attorney, Patrick Griffin, and State Commissioner Ronald Higgins moving very expeditiously to launch an official investigation into this matter. As they announced yesterday that this investigation will be led by New Britain Judicial District State's Attorney Christian Watson, who will oversee the Connecticut State Police investigation in order to avoid any potential conflicts of interest, which is typical, where they will oftentimes tap a state's attorney that is outside the district, because the state's attorney in the district typically works a lot with the police department. As I said on day one, we'll follow the facts wherever they lead and fully cooperate with the state's attorney's office and the Connecticut State Police in their investigation. City officials have already been in touch with the Connecticut State Police. I'm going to review the timeline, a lot you're familiar with. We're going to add some additional information. So recently, as you know, the assistant chiefs were notified separately by 2 officers in the police department about the discrepancy of funds in the confidential informant program. The assistant chiefs met with the chief in their regular command staff meeting this past Monday morning and confronted him. In that meeting, the chief admitted to this theft and the misuse of public funds. In this meeting, the chief told the assistant chiefs that the amount that was taken was $10,000. I'd like to make clear, I want to make clear, we do not know how much money was taken and whether the chief was truthful here. This is all preliminary information. And of course, the investigation will ultimately uncover these details. The assistant chiefs then notified the chief administrative officer, Justin McCarthy, who is here with us, who then brought me into the loop. I met with Chief Jacobson and other individuals around 3:30 p.m. and notified the chief he was being put on administrative leave. It was at that time that the chief notified me that he had retired, which we confirmed later on with the pension office. We met with the state's attorney, Jack Doyle, to inform him of this incident and share what we knew about the situation. Later in the day, I also spoke with the chief state's attorney, Patrick Griffin. I'm going to go through an overview of the confidential informant program because obviously there's a lot of questions about how this program works, and it's a little bit complicated. The confidential informant program is designed to pay individuals who provide confidential information to the police department to assist in criminal investigations. This program is very important to the department's success and the work that we do in the city. And the program is very typical of many police departments and, in addition, federal agencies and state law enforcement as well. The police department general orders outline in detail how the confidential informant program should work, including details on who is responsible for the program, the process on how funds are handled, how information on the confidential informants themselves can be tracked, but also kept safe. When Chief Jacobson was Assistant Chief of Investigations, prior to him becoming chief, he managed the program. When Chief Jacobson became police chief in 2022, he continued to oversee the program. According to Assistant Chief Etienne, who is Assistant Chief of Investigations for approximately 3 years, and Assistant Chief Zanelli, who was Assistant Chief of Investigations for the most recent year, they asked the chief to turn over the program to them, which the chief did not do. We've done an initial review of the confidential informant bank account. The bank account receives checks from the city. It's in a private bank. Typically, an average of around $75,000 per year is deposited into this account. In the last 2 years, funds deposited into this account have come from the city's general fund. Cash is withdrawn from this account in smaller increments and then is supposed to be put in a safe in the police department before it is distributed to detectives who provide the funds to confidential informants. Currently, in this bank account, there is $50,766.09. We've frozen these funds. In 2025, funds were regularly withdrawn from the account each month in $5,000 increments by Chief Jacobson. The only exceptions were in November and December of this year, when in each month, instead of one $5,000 withdrawal, there were two $5,000 withdrawals made in each month. So each November, December had in total $10,000 each for those 2 months withdrawn. According to Chief Jacobson, these funds were kept in his office. We've sealed his office pending the investigation, so we do not have access to the ledger, nor do we currently have access to the separate ledger that is used to log payments to confidential informants. Securing the chief's office and the documents was requested by the state's attorney, as they are evidence in this case. So while we have a better understanding of the amount of funds deposited into and withdrawn from the confidential informant bank account, which is called the Narcotics Enforcement Program Fund, we do not yet have a full accounting of what was done with those funds. We expect that the state investigation, of course, will reveal these details. It's important to note that we will honor our commitment to the confidential informants to keep their names confidential. As you can imagine, that is very, very important because people have put themselves at great risk to share information with the police department to help us solve crimes. Next steps. So we have, as I said, frozen the bank account in question. Chief Jacobson has been removed as a signatory on that account. We've paused the confidential informant program temporarily while we review the program. We're reviewing if there were any other city counts that were potentially impacted. And we will be working to engage an outside party to help us review the policies and procedures regarding the confidential informant program and make any necessary improvements. We're cooperating fully with state police, and their investigation is underway. Of course, the investigation is in its very early stages, and it will likely take time for the state to complete. But we're committed to full and complete accountability in this matter. Chief Zinelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank the mayor for his trust in me and support through this incredibly difficult time. I just want to say to the men and women of the police department, I'm incredibly proud of you. This didn't come and was not discovered from outside entities. This was reported to us as your leaders, trusting us to do the right thing and to bring it forward, and that is what we did. No one is above the law, and we are all held accountable to the stipulations. I want to say thank you to the executive team for their support during this process, and thank you to the community for standing by us, for allowing us an opportunity to heal. And we will move forward as a police department. Thank you.
Questions for folks?
You say that the chief was asked to hand over the account to assistant chiefs. Do you know roughly when that was?
So for myself, it was multiple times throughout the past year. What the chief had done is basically make it where he would be the sole holder of the money, and what he would say to us is commonly that he was doing that to protect us from any kind of liability.
Mayor Elster, did you consider putting a CAO or somebody else in charge, given that Zinelli, while not accused of any wrongdoing, did have authority under department guidelines over the CI fund?
So I considered a lot of options, and am confident in my choice to choose Assistant Chief Zinelli as the acting chief. I've gotten to know and watch Chief Zinelli over many years in the work that he is doing in the department. He's a strong leader. In every experience that I have had with him, he has strong integrity. And I remind folks that he and the two other assistant chiefs came forward under what I think any of us would imagine is a pretty difficult situation where there's someone that was their mentor that promoted them into these positions because they wanted to do the right thing. So I'm very confident in Chief Zinelli's ability to do the job.
And even before the chief was in position, was it common to have $5,000 increments taken out every month? Oh.
Yeah, my understanding is yes. And as I said, typically this account has, on average, deposits into it of approximately $75,000 a year. That's on average. So some years it may be a little bit more, a little bit less than that. And so if you back into that, just typically how much is used per month in the informant program, that's about the number.
So each year you estimated to have about $2,000 left over to roll into the CI fund?
So I can't say that. There is, at the time that we froze the account, there was just over $50,000 in the account.
Just make numbers, understanding numbers
Yeah, so there was a deposit in November for 50,000. Typically, the deposits in recent years were around the $50,000 amount. And so there would be a large deposit of 50,000, and then it would be drawn down in $5,000 increments typically from what we've seen. I want to be clear. So I have information on deposits over multiple years recently, and we only, at this point, we're working very hard to pull a lot of information from the bank and statements. But from this last year, we have information about the withdrawals. Other questions?
What about motive? I mean, this money, was it used? Do you have anything on motive or what?
I really don't want to speculate on that. There's a lot of talk around town, but I really don't want to speculate on that.
The city took $10,000. Is that double increments in December and November?
We don't know.
When you said you talked to him and you said you were going to put him on administrative leave, he said had he filed the retirement paperwork before he had his conversation with you?
Yes.
Was that after the assistant chiefs had come up to him, or
Yes.
It sounds like you're all against the financial auditing now. The police general order requires a financial audit every year. Has that been happening for the last 6 years?
So I had asked the chief, and that was about to commence this month as I was up on my year term.
Did it happen over the last?
We're not sure. We can't get into the files in his office because it's secured right now.
Does that audit not go to anyone, like the mayor or the CIO?
So that's why one of the reasons that we're going to look at this general order, because there's several parts that are unclear and several parts that refer to the chief of police as having access to these files in several segments. So what we'd like to do is moving forward is work with our Board of Police Commissioners, Chair Evelise Ribeiro, to make a little bit more clearer of a policy, because there's other segments outside of reference to these funds that also need to be updated from 2016.
I mean, it seems pretty clear. An annual audit of the department's confidential informant file shall be conducted by the chief of police or his her designee. But that applies to the files and not to the financial accounting piece. So what is the ambiguity here?
Well, we just want to say that the assistant chief is not the sole person. We want to say that the chief is the top executive right now, and we have other conflicting general orders that say the chief of police is control of all activities of the police department. So, and I can provide that general order afterwards if you'd like.
And just so that I understand, in terms of his resignation, before he was caught, before he was confronted, he had already resigned or kind of given his statement?
So the assistant chiefs in the morning, the 3 assistant chiefs in the morning had a meeting with the chief where they confronted him with the fact that there was a discrepancy in some of the funds that are used in the confidential informant program. They then reported it to the chief administrative officer. We met as a group without the chief to discuss. My chief of staff called the chief and said he needs to come to the chief administrator's office where we were all sitting. In between that time, and the time that he actually arrived, he retired.
Are there state or federal funds in the CIO?
So in recent years, all of the funds that to our knowledge, that have been put into this account are general fund deposits. Prior to July 1st of 2023, there were asset forfeiture funds that were put into this account. And those funds typically are state or federal funds. That is more than 2 years ago. And given the deposits and withdrawals, it's unlikely that those funds were impacted should the chief's activities only be during this period. Now, if we go back further, as the investigation unfolds and we identify that there were things going on prior to 2.5, 3 years ago, then it could have impacted federal or state funds. But to our knowledge right now, only city funds were impacted.
In that case, is the FBI planning to investigate?
That's a question for them.
How did the officers find these discrepancies? What were they doing that?
So I don't want to get into the details because there's an ongoing investigation. I do want to reiterate what Chief Zanelli said, that the fact that the officers came forward with the information and reported it is something that we should commend them for.
Is there a difference between police narcotics enforcement account and the confidential informant case expenditure fund?
I may have used different words. The technical name on the account is the Narcotics Enforcement Program Fund, and that's where the funding is. There's no 2 separate accounts or pools of money, yeah.
Is there any concern about interrupting any ongoing investigations now that this confidential informant failed to pause?
Yeah, do you want to take that?
We just want to work with the Board of Police Commissioners and some of our state and federal partners to make sure we have the most up-to-date and current policies before moving forward, and make sure that we're not interrupting the state police investigation as it stands. And then when appropriate, we'll commence.
I mean, I just add to that, we've made, the department has made incredible progress on reducing violent crime. And there's a lot of people from the police department here right now, and they should be commended for that work. And so, and the confidential informant program is an important part of the work that they are doing. And so the short answer is yes, we want to get this program up and running. We also want to make absolutely sure that there is no potential misuse of funds.
Given that new audits are required, do you think that someone in the city administration ought to have known that, the audits weren't happening or something was going on?
It's a good question. I think we are looking into this, and clearly this result is something that is not desirable at all, and we want to make sure it never happens again. There were people that reported things when they saw them, and they reported them quickly and addressed it when they saw that there was a problem. So I think that's important to know.
That's correct. There's about 3 sections of the current general order that refer to the chief, the assistant chief of investigations, and/or their designee when it comes to the auditing. But we can't audit what we don't have, and that's one of the things that we want to remind everybody. And the other thing is that when he maintained these files from being assistant chief of investigations in 2019, this team had no reason to question his integrity until recently, when the concerns were brought by the members of this police department. We're going to be, yes, ma'am.
We have no knowledge at this point that anyone else is involved. It's an ongoing investigation. So, they may uncover something, but we have no knowledge of anyone else that was involved. Any other questions?
So just returning to the general order question, is the idea, so the language under the management of confidential funds says, the accounting system that executes funding activities will be managed by the assistant chief of investigations. All requests for expenditures from this expenditure fund must be approved by the assistant chief of investigations. That's the language you're looking to amend?
So yes.
Well, I think we need to take a moment I think we need to pause as far as what we're committing to amend and not amend. We're going to get an outside party to review the policies and procedures to make sure that we improve them in a way that ensures that this never happens again. I don't want to get in the details of like this language, this line in a policy needs to be changed and have that a public commitment, because there could be other changes that impact that as well. So I think we're committed to making sure this doesn't happen again. We're going to bring someone else from the outside to help us do that. Okay.
This might be for Chief Sinella, but how has the morale and things been the last 2 days even?
That's a reasonable question, right? I think we're all shocked and numb. This is an individual who never exhibited any kind of conduct while on duty that would cause us to question his integrity in this level. And I will say this, I'm very proud of the men and women here. Again, this is brought forth by members of this police department. And we acted swiftly on this information, and I thank them for that. We're going to move forward as a team. Nothing changes. We just had a great year in 2025, and it's going to be an even better 2026. We're going to move forward.
The chief was loved by many people in this community. He always, in my experience with him, was a very genuine person. He worked very hard and was committed to improving the lives for many people in this community. And so everything I've heard from everyone is just how shocked they are and bewildered about a choice that the chief made. And the men and women of the police department are the closest to that work. And so I can imagine just how demoralizing this can be. I'd go back to just how much progress we have made as a city, and that has been under the chief's leadership, but that has been implemented by hundreds of people in this building. It's not been implemented by the chief, it's been implemented by hundreds of people in this building. And we should be proud of that and point towards that and new leadership because we have a lot more work to do. Okay, can we pivot to the second issue? Okay, thank you.
January 4th, 2026, approximately 4:52 a.m., a Honda Elantra was traveling northbound on Whaley Avenue, approaching the intersection of Harrison Street in the city of New Haven. The Elantra continued in a northwesterly direction where it departed the right side of the road and entered the roadside property of Beth El Kesser Israel Synagogue, located at 85 Harrison. While within the roadside, the Elantra collided with a tree. Following impact, the Honda came to rest in northbound lane of Whaley Avenue. Prior to the collision, New Haven police officers were attempting to initiate a traffic stop on the Honda Elantra after it was involved in an incident in which it nearly collided with a marked New Haven Police Department vehicle. The Elantra was later determined to be stolen, but was not the reason for the pursuit. As a result, the operator and the front passenger sustained fatal injuries. Both occupants were subsequently transported to the office of the Chief Medical Examiner's office pending a post-mortem exam. The identities of the occupants, one is a 13-year-old female, and the other is still pending.
The male driver's a 13-year-old.
Correct. The male driver is a 13-year-old. At the request of the New Haven Police Department and New Haven State's Attorney's Office, the Connecticut State Police was called upon to assume the investigation, and an internal affairs investigation has also been initiated as a result. State Police, Central District Major Crimes, and Collision Analysis and Reconstruction Squad assume the investigative responsibility, and we are working to support them in any way we can. The officers were not injured in this incident. Thank you.
How old was the passenger?
Do you want to?
We're unsure. But the state police should be giving an update sometime in the near future.
Can I just add something?
Absolutely.
So the 13-year-old boy has been identified. The female passenger has not been identified. And that's, I think, an important thing that the press can help us with, because this incident happened over the weekend, and we still do not know who this young person is. We don't know the age of the young person, and we have not been able to identify who she is. I spoke with the mom of the young boy earlier this week, and as you can imagine, she is devastated. Was a New Haven Public School student. But we need your help identifying the young girl, or young woman, because we do not know her age. The state police is going to release a description later today, correct? And so you can look forward to the state police releasing that information, and ideally you help us put that information out so that we can try to identify this young person. Any other questions on this?
So just to run it again, the police were pursuing, after a traffic stop, a Hyundai, which then, it was an Elantra that veered off the road into the tree at Becky. And that was the stolen vehicle, which was not the reason for the pursuit.
Correct. So the reason for trying to stop the vehicle is because what we have at this time is the vehicle intentionally swerved at the officers and then continued to swerve with and without the lane of westbound traffic, Whaley Ave by,
This is the Elantra.
yes.
Okay. I guess maybe it's a question for the mayor. I mean, this is the second time that there's been a traffic incident of people colliding into the Becky property in that area. Are there any concerns about traffic upgrades or things like that in the area? Is it safe for pedestrians?
I mean, no level of traffic calming is going to prevent a car that was a stolen vehicle that was fleeing from the police from crashing. So I think that's, while we're doing a lot of traffic calming around the city and dangerous driving and speeding around the city is a problem, that is not relevant to this case. This was two people that had stolen a car, were driving erratically and swerving intentionally towards a police car, that when the police car activated its lights and sirens, they fled and crashed. And it's tragic that they are dead, but traffic calming is not the way to solve that problem. Any other questions? Okay, thanks so much, everybody.